Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Friday, August 2nd, 2024. So what, you may ask, is special about August 2nd, 2024? Well, it turns out that 92 days ago, on May 2nd, 2024, Stronghold Digital Mining announced during its Q1 2024 investor presentation that the company was reviewing its strategic options, looking at strategic alternatives, and had retained advisors to help guide them through that process. So ostensibly, there's no real deadline to when that strategic review process will end, but arguably one can surmise that the company essentially put a for sale sign in front of itself, certainly for some or all of its assets, right? At least I think that's a reasonable assumption, okay? So 92 days in to this process, have we received any offers? I don't know. To the extent we have received any offers, what might be holding back a deal from going through? It's a good question. We know that our assets have value. And we also recognize that electricity and data centers can be used for more than just Bitcoin, right? There are a lot of machine learning and AI applications for which these data centers would be phenomenal from my perspective. So is it a matter of price? Is it a matter of perhaps we're looking for a certain number and maybe those that have been interested have another number in mind, perhaps a much lower number? Possibly. We don't really know. I do, however, think we're going to start to get some answers during our next investor presentation, which should take place sometime now in early August of 2024. We can look forward to receiving our Bitcoin production update for July 2024. Sometimes a business update is included, right? An operations update is included in that news release. We might hear something about that then. But, when it comes to companies potentially being interested in our data center infrastructure, I think it's useful for all of us, right, to keep in mind that a company that's purely interested in data centers and electricity from the perspective of AI and machine learning, this whole thing with Bitcoin is really irrelevant to them. I don't know that it really makes our assets or our data centers more attractive to say, hey, they're filled with Bitcoin mining machines. A lot of these companies might look at Bitcoin and say, you know what, that's just a distraction. We're interested in AI and machine learning. In fact, we took a closer look at Bitcoin and we don't see hash prices doing that well. We don't really see the price of Bitcoin doing much. What is Bitcoin anyway? What is it really used for, right? Has it topped out? Institutions have presumably had access to this asset class for quite some time. We don't really see a whole lot happening to the price. Sure, if maybe, some Bitcoin maximalists can, compel governments, perhaps even the US federal government, to buy millions upon millions upon millions of Bitcoin, hey, maybe the price will go up. That could be a good thing for Bitcoin miners like Stronghold Digital Mining. But from our perspective, and remember, I'm playing the role here of just, like a AI machine learning person, right, who's only interested in the data centers for that reason, I could ostensibly see an argument being, yeah, you know what, let them keep fooling around with this Bitcoin stuff. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. We can probably get those assets for a super cheap price because eventually they're going to run out of money. See what I mean? Now, remember, you and I, we're proponents of Bitcoin. We believe in Bitcoin, right? I mean, I've already, acknowledged my biases, right, as having been introduced to Bitcoin as a tool of commerce, not as a collectible. But as I've said before, listen, I embrace what, the collective wisdom of the community in deciding, hey, you know what, forget about commerce. Let's have it be a collectible, a store of value. Okay, that's awesome, right? I mean, I'm not against it, but I can also see the argument coming from a machine learning AI company who has zero interest in Bitcoin mining and only has an interest in the data centers, right? Like, hey, the sooner we can just kind of get rid of the Bitcoin mining machines, the sooner we can use all of that stuff for something that's, that from their perspective, like really matters, right? And so they may be strategically just kind of holding back, waiting for companies like Stronghold to just kind of roll over, unless, of course, you have, for some reason, you have to tell me what the catalyst is going to be, right? For some reason, you have an explosion in the price of Bitcoin and, the network hash rate doesn't catch up right away, and you suddenly have hash prices that are really lucrative again. So what's it going to take for the price of Bitcoin to go up? More people buying it, right? It's not right, as we've sort of alluded to, right? You have to tell me, you have to educate me, like, what is it being used for? I'm not sure, right? But like, hey, to the extent that there's a use case that just blows up and suddenly Bitcoin is really needed for something, then yes, that's really going to be good. But I think it's just as likely, right, that, hey, what if the price of Bitcoin just kind of keeps going sideways? I'm not hoping for that. I mean, look, I hope it goes to $1 million tomorrow. Trust me, I'd love that. But I'm just saying, right, that could be a factor, right? This whole thing with Bitcoin, as much as you and I are like attracted to it in many ways, for some entities that would otherwise have an interest in our assets, right, the assets of Stronghold Digital Mining, they may look at it as like, hey, it's a liability. We don't really want those damn machines in there. How soon can we unplug them all? Which brings me to another important point, by the way. We do have some contractual arrangements, right, with some of our hosting partners. So that, if I'm not mistaken, they were like, for example, there was like a 2-year deal that I think comes due this coming February. You might have some issues there in terms of like, hey, are these data centers going to be fully open for other types of computational devices to come in? I mean, it doesn't seem like they would be. Maybe in a deal, you just have to kind of pay a little extra money to some of our partners to say, hey, look, I'm sorry, but the new buyer just wants to throw away all these machines. They're useless to the buyer. They want to put like AI machine learning devices in here, right? For lack of a better way to describe it. And that's really all they're interested in. So again, there are some complicating factors that potentially could be holding a deal up. Hey, is the carbon capture initiative, if we get it, listed on Puro Earth, is that going to be when the flood of offers come in? Maybe, maybe not though, because remember, you could always put a deal under contract and just say, hey, look, we want to have a contingency. And that contingency, right, is, hey, if and when Puro Earth certifies this project and it gets listed on the registry, then we can definitely, go through with the deal. And here, hey, we'll pay a down payment, hey, we're serious, but we just want to make sure that this project is real. We're not scientists, we're not experts, we're just some company that wants to buy these assets, right? We want Puro Earth, we want the experts to certify the deal, right? To really say, hey, this is like for real, this works, it's transactable, these, carbon removal credits can be sold now. Great. That could be a contingency, and once that happens, if it happens, we'll move ahead with the deal. Okay, a lot of speculation, a lot of tangents. The bottom line is we're going to have to get some answers from our friends in management, right? We're going to have to, the market is I think, at the point now where we need more information. We need an update, a material update as to what's going on. And I think we're going to get that in our next investor presentation, which, as I said, is going to probably be forthcoming fairly soon. Okay, my friend. Until next week, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again then.